I'll put you backstage. Greetings and salutations, this is Hugh Jarsz, the biggest YouTuber ever! And good evening, Jarsoles. It's 8 p.m. local time, a mild evening after a brilliant day here in the paradise of Bris Vegas, and welcome to my second stream and the 17th overall of the Critical Think Stream-a-thon. Speaking of which, let's welcome to the show the man himself, Critical Think!
Woo-hoo! Hello, everybody!
Oh, there we go. He has the applause on his side. Why not? How are you? Have a good day? You've been on a lot of live streams.
Not much sleep, and been on a few live streams and chatting to people. Pretty busy.
Not as busy as DP Debunks. He's been, a real stalwart in organising this whole thing and making it happen. He's done a really good job.
Done a fantastic job, indeed. And he's got talent too, I see.
Does he? I thought none of us had talent.
Oh, no, his artistic skills are very good. You notice that?
Oh, excellent. Okay. Yeah, I haven't been watching him too closely. I've been getting ready for the debate. I did, shit post in his chat, I guess. But yes. Let's see. Seeing this is a fundraiser, I just want to check in on the fundraiser at the moment. Let's do a refresh just so that we don't get fooled like I did last time. And we're up to 39,237. I think we were on 29,000 when I spoke to you last time. We've done a really good job of bringing in the money for you, which is great because you did so much going to Antarctica for the community, and this is the way the community can pay you back.
Yeah, indeed, that's great. Now it looks like, I think we might hit 40k. That'd be good.
And DP Debunks said that he'd shit his pants on screen if it reaches 40k. So we're looking forward to that.
Oh, yeah, but then he said, maybe that's not such a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he doesn't have to show what he's actually doing. He just has to do it on screen. Anyway, so thank you to everyone who's donated. Of course, if you are not in a position to donate anything, you can just go to CT's channel, subscribe to him, watch his videos. That'll help as well. But if you can spare $5, please throw, or $10 or $20 or $100, throw it at the fundraiser and help CT recoup some of those massive costs he did going to Antarctica and collecting all that data for us so that we can shove it down the Flurf's throats. Not that they will understand any of it, but anyway. DP Debunk says we've so far raised 13,078 Aussie dollars. Aussie dollar redo.
Fantastic.
Well done.
I should applaud that.
Yes. And like I said, DP Debunks has done a lot of work to make that happen. So thank you to that and all the other contributors to the stream-a-thon. Just 85 says hi to us. So hi back to 85. And I saw a member, Mucky in the Works there. Hello, Mucky in the Works. He's a member. I don't see any others at the moment.
Hello, Lindsay and Steel City and Andy.
Yes.
No, 80, sorry.
Yep. And everyone else, really. We're not discriminatory here. So I want to always like to do a special mention to my members. I forgot to do it last stream, so sorry about that. All right, then. They're long-suffering members too, because I haven't put out much lately. So, yeah, hopefully that'll change in the next couple of weeks.
That's all right. Take your time there with that.
Yep. Speaking of which, the last thing I actually, as I said in the last stream, my dog, one of my beloved corgis, passed away, and that sort of got me focused on other things for a while. But one thing I was working on at the time was a video which I named Fkatzoid and the Dumb, or Fkatzoid, I should say. I got it wrong. Damn it. His name's Fkatzoid, or Ratzoid, as DP Debunks calls him. And by the way, DP Debunks, take these 2 hours to rest your voice. You really need to, I think. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to talk tomorrow. So that, and when you, not long after you came back from Antarctica, you had a debate with Fkatzoid. And I say debate in inverted commas because he didn't really bring anything to debate about. So I thought for this stream we'll go through that and laugh at the stupid. What do you reckon?
It's your stream. I think that sounds okay.
But it's for you, mate. It's for you.
I'll get to laugh about it all over again. Okay.
At the time, it was on FDFE channel. So there's FDFE there, or Craig McNeil, he's called himself now. I think he was still FDE back then. Both either. He answers to both. Hey, you, or just don't call him late for breakfast. So let's now. First of all, tell me if you're hearing the sound or play it.
Certainly, yeah. So my fundraising link is in most of my videos these days, and Craig has been kind enough to put it in the description of this video.
And we also have it pinned in the chat as well. So did you hear you talking then, CT? Or
yes, I did. But I don't know if the YouTubers can hear it.
Condolences. Yes, thank you, 85. Cabrera. Did you guys hear what CT talking then when I played the video? Yeah, audio's fine. Good. We can get going. All right. So I'm going to play it at 1.5 speed because it's over 2 hours and we've only got 2 hours in the live stream. So we don't want to be here forever, and we're going to make comments as we go along. I get the feeling that we won't need to get through all of it. I think Fkatzoid butted out at one point, didn't he? About an hour and a half in.
Oh, yeah, but we'll probably only get through about 20 minutes worth. Okay.
Maybe,
but anyway, we'll see how we go.
Yes, there's plenty of weapons-grade derp that he delivers in the first 20 minutes. So let's have a look.
Video here. So yeah, I totally funded this myself. It's a huge expense, and I would really appreciate if people could help me out because I'm quite cash-strapped at the moment.
Well, we do appreciate you doing what you've done, and if anyone has any spare money and feels like donating, feel free. Link in the description. And if my mods could be kind enough to please every now and then spam the link to Critical Think's fundraiser in the chat. Obviously, talking.
And my mods too, and it's funny how they didn't know the stream-a-thon was going to be on, yet they gave an advertisement for it, basically, so you can do the donation. We'll check in a bit later. Oh, yes, it'd be nice to get over 40K in this stream. We're almost there, and in fact, it'd be nice to put on $2,000 during this stream. That's for 2 hours. It'd be good to put on $1,000 each hour. So if you've got money to spare, please donate it to Critical Think. All right, let's get going.
On the other side today is Fkatzoid. How are you doing, Fkatzoid?
Good. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Discussion.
Yeah,
I just want to say, if Craig gets 10 likes, he'll donate all his super chats to Critical Think tonight.
Wait, what? Shit, there's 42 already. What the hell? I enjoyed having you on the other day talking to Dave McKeegan. Pretty sure we went into some kind of alternate timeline because there was no shouting and stuff on my channel. It was very strange, but quite enjoyable. So hopefully the same can happen tonight. Hello to everyone over on Fkatzoid's channel. I hope you are enjoying the show. Make sure you support your favorite creator over there, Fkatzoid. And Fkatzoid, I do want to say congratulations for absolutely smashing Nathan Oakley in the view counts. That's to be applauded. Anyone doing better than Nathan Oakley is a good thing, frankly. So good job. His channel seems to be the only one that's not grown because of this, but hey. Right, we're going to do 10-minute openers to go over your points and then into an open discussion. Do you have any preferences to who you'd like to go first?
Critical can go first.
Right, Critical, over to you then, 10 minutes, and let's hear what you have about the experiments that you did and why you think they show that the Earth is rotating.
So I think we will go through what you presented in Critical Think, just so that we can contrast it with what the Fkatzoid comes up with later, but also to make sure that the truth is put out there. So let's go with that.
Yep.
Okay, well, this is my first time debating, so I'll have to ask Fkatzoid to go gentle with me, please. And I'm going to share.
Yep.
I hope this works.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Right. So this, I can start now. I got to rush through this because I haven't got 10 minutes, and it's a long topic. But anyway, so I'm saying that the globe is confirmed because weight change measurements during the final experiment by the legendary Critical Think, which is me, they confirmed the globe and the reasons for that. So, yeah, there we go. So this experiment is about taking real-world measurements, and it's to test the WGS-84 model gravity predictions. So we're not making up any correlation or anything. We're testing a prediction. So the causation is already established. So when something turns around, like rotation of the Earth, there's a centrifugal force. That's just normal. So that's just well-known science. That's a causation of a force, centrifugal force. There's also gravity, whether you believe it or not. There's gravity that is another force, and a pair of scales that scales measures it. So we go here. These are the forms if the Earth were a perfectly rotating sphere. So these are the causation formulas. And because the Earth is a ellipsoid and not a perfect sphere, then we've got the gravity equations that come with the WGS-84 model. Now, I didn't make these up, but I am going to test them with my measurements. So before going to Antarctica, we did some predictions. You see, that, so Sydney, 1,055, et cetera, and Union Glacier, 1,380. This is even before I set foot in any of these places. And you've seen this graph before. So the red line is what the globe model, that equation predicts that the mass should weigh. And then the green line that closely follows it is what I measured. So we have our model and we have our test for the model by going out and doing real-world measurements. And then when I normalize the results, I get the prediction is the green line, and all the measurements points pop up on the green line. I also test what's called coefficient of determination, which is R squared. And this tells us exactly how well the model predicts the results. And for my trip to Antarctica, this calculation says the WGS model explains 100% of the variation. So there was.
I'll just interrupt for a second and look at Fkatzoid's face. His brain is broken. He doesn't understand a word of this.
His eyes have glazed over and he's just staring into space.
Yeah, Flurf don't maths. Yes.
Was a variation in weights, but the hypothesis explained this variation 100%. So Fkatzoid has said that I failed very bad in understanding about what science is, but didn't really explain that. And it says the incompetence to not even calibrate his scale has invalidated anything he had done anyway. So my reply to that is the inability to understand the experiment invalidates any criticism of the experiment. So first you have to understand what you're talking about. Now, the flatty folly is you have to calibrate the scales every time. So this is a misunderstanding of the experiment. If we were to measure, we're not measuring an unknown mass. We always have our calibration weight. Now, if we were to calibrate the scale every time, it defeats the whole point of the experiment. You would just be proving that 100 kilogram mass weighs 100 kilograms after calibration. And it would make the experiment similarly useless as taking a spirit level on a plane. So Fkatzoid has also said that correlation cannot imply causal relationship. And yes, that's correct. But in this case, correlation doesn't imply causation. It refers to the inability to legitimately deduce cause and effect relationship. Now, solely. So if you have nothing else, if you just have a correlation and nothing else, correlation does not employ causation. But I am not deducing the cause and effect relationship, right? It exists. Centrifugal force and gravity exists. And that is the cause and effect that I am testing. So causal analysis is the field of experimental design and statistics pertaining to establishing cause and effect. It involves correlation, right? Yes, we did correlation, the results correlate. They're sequenced in time. Causes must occur before the proposed effect. Got that. Plausible physical or informational theoretical mechanism. Got that. We've got a mechanism for the observed effect. and we eliminated the possibility of common special causes. So there is no competing hypothesis for this.
So first of all, I'll just interrupt there. We've got a super chat, and Emma's saying it's too fast. Emma, we can slow it down if it is too fast. So I've got it on 1.5, I can drop it down to 1.2. Is it simply that it's talking too fast, or it's just too much information at once?
That'd be too much information. That's pretty intense.
It is. But it's still, if you know what you're talking about, you can follow it, which was one of your points earlier. So,
yeah, but for someone who hasn't seen it before, I understand it would be too fast.
And as Volcano Truther Tad says for $2, thank you for that, explaining how an engine works to a dog. Yes, that's what it was, to explaining all this to Fkatzoid. Look at his face there. So
he's
yes,
already
sorry,
got
Emma.
He's already got in his head what he's going to say. Fkatzoid, it doesn't matter what I say there. He's already got his reply, what he's going to say.
Yeah, he's an NPC, pre-programmed with a response. Yeah. And, of course, it'll be a nonsensical response, and that's what we'll laugh at. But we'll wait for his turn. I just want to get through your bit first, and then we'll get into the laughter.
Weight variation.
5 minutes
So we only have one. Right, so there I calibrate the scales once, measure many, and what would cause the weight to change so significantly? And by calculation and experiment, temperature, air pressure, humidity, buoyancy, and magnetism, these are being eliminated because these effects are small. And so Fkatzoid did his experiment, and he has to tell, wait, why is that 17.5 grams there already? Never mind. But so he got a zero. These scales are meant to weigh kilograms, and he's weighing something worth 20 grams. And he thinks after he's moved the scale a little bit that a 0.1 gram is somehow significant. But this is the question I got for Fkatzoid. What does this D equals 0.1 G mean? And then this is from one of my scales. What does this E 10 D mean? So you should know these answers. And my other question is, what is the flat Earth explanation for this? Before traveling to Union Glacier, I predicted what the weight should be at various locations. Why were the actual weights measured to be with a few hundredths of a gram of these predictions? Okay, we can leave it at that. I've got to unshare somehow.
I can stop sharing for you, that's fine.
Okay.
We've got 3 minutes 20 left.
Right. I am pretty much done with that presentation. I must have rushed through it.
Okay.
But,
Awesome. Right, I'll stop your time there. Thank you very much for that. Critical Think, guys. Once again, you can find the information for Critical Think's GoFundMe to help cover the cost of him going to Antarctica, which he funded himself, both in the description and now, as my amazing mod, will be posting it in the chat. Thank you very much for that. Fkatzoid, over to you for your 10-minute introduction as to why you disagree with everything that Critical Think has done. 10 minutes starting when you start speaking.
Cool. Actually, I don't need 10 minutes, but to say thank you, Critical Think, for coming and making my point and literally refuting your own argument in your own opening statements. You started off with saying you have correlation, not causation, so that already makes it not scientific because scientific method strictly is about the causation for the effect observed. You didn't.
As if he has a clue what the scientific method actually is.
Yeah, not only that, I explained the difference, but why correlation and the relationship between correlation and causation. And, there's a clear difference. When you know the cause, the correlation is calculated. When you're looking for a cause, you use correlation to perhaps start a hypothesis. But we already had our hypothesis. We had our causation. So he's talking out of his rear end, doesn't know the difference between correlation and causation. But anyway, that's typical Fkatzoid.
And typical flat Earth. I mean, you mentioned rear end. All flat Earth roof are rectally extracted. I wish you could see me doing the air quotes, but anyway, I think you heard it in my voice. Okay, let's continue.
Observe an effect. You made a correlation-based faux pas when saying I don't need to calibrate it. The whole reason you say you don't need to calibrate it is because it will give a different result. It will give the same result. So therefore, the scale.
Yes, it will give a different result. It'll give an invalid one. You're destroying the test that you're trying to test.
A nonsensical result.
And you even explained it. You said all you're doing is weighing that a kilogram weighs a kilogram.
Yes, that's to do a calibration at every place would prove nothing with your set of scales, except that special set of scales I've got. As I said, I've hinted at this before. I did an experiment calibrating it at every location, but the scale has an interesting feature that allows me to verify the experiment that way anyway.
Anyway, it's just, this is why I came up with Fkatzoid and the dumb, because when he completely missed everything you said, or didn't understand it, more likely. And he's supposed to be an English speaker, so he doesn't have that as an excuse. And yet came up with, oh, you proved my point. No, he didn't. Anyway.
I didn't. I already knew what his point was, so I spoke to it, but he can't think on his feet. He'd already programmed what he was going to say in his head. Too difficult to change it.
Classic NPC, yeah. Okay, on with the stupid.
Scale is going to give a different result. Just by moving it alone changes the scale's weight. Yes, temperature does change it. Was it cold in Antarctica? Yes, it definitely was, so it would change it. If you say minuscule, but remember you are not controlling any of your variables, so therefore it cannot anyway be a controlled valuable experiment. Also, I would love you to actually provide us with that actual scientific hypothesis so we can go through it, because you don't really have an actual IV and DV for your presumed cause that you are claiming to be correlated. Secondly, you are saying to me that because I have a graph, therefore science. No, graphs don't make science. Graphs are just based on data that come off the experimentation. You didn't make an experiment, and mine was not an experiment. It was a demonstration to show you that you didn't understand how load scales work. And yes, mine works on grams because I use it for paint mixing, which has to be very accurate within 0.01 grams. The E is just to denote to the 10 grams. So if it gives E to 10, then you have a very fine scale. So you have a very fine scale indeed, sir. Would be great if you actually calibrated it like you would, because that means it's very sensitive to movement as well. Remember, you placed it onto an airplane with a lot of turbulence. That load cell did move out of place, and it would give a contemporary of a change in the scale. And yeah, I just think you don't understand the main basics between correlation and causation, and you don't understand that if you are using science, you have to have strict guidelines and you have to have actual control variables that you couldn't keep to. So that would be.
Oh, it's so hilarious when Fkatzoid lectures other people. You don't understand.
You don't do science, and he's saying, "Oh, having a graph is not science." I never claimed a graph was science, but when you got your result, you graph them. That's part of the scientific method. That's part of evaluating your results. That's part of the analysis. You're saying, I've done all this work. Let's see how good this fits my hypothesis. And oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
The data and the way it was collected is the science, but you need to also interpret that, and you need to be able to present it to show your conclusions, and that's where the graphs help. It's just a tool.
I mean, he said so much stuff there that was wrong. I mean, it's almost every 2 words. So I can't remember them all, but everything was wrong he was saying.
Yeah, I totally agree. But it makes it hard to, oh, what's that? That's still showing. It makes it hard to progress very far. So we'll sort of just hit the big stupids, I guess. So on with the stupid.
Incompetency. So yeah, that's my opening statement.
Okay, well, you still had 7 minutes and 45 left. I guess I'll stop that there, and we can just go into a back and forth. Guys, we'll let them go for as long as they're comfortable with back and forth. I have a hard stop by midnight because, you know, I'm a massive nerd. And on Fridays, you can catch me over on Top Hats Off doing my Star Trek roleplay where I play Commander Terrence Shelby, Chief Engineer of the USS Lexington. We have only 4 episodes left of this campaign, and so far I've only destroyed 1 solar system and then somehow got promoted. So catch that tonight at 1 a.m. on the Top Hats Off channel. But yeah, after the back and forth, we will read questions to the guys. Obviously, super chats take priority. But if you tag me or DM me on Discord or something, I will try and read those out as well. Right, guys, I hopefully won't need to get involved in moderating. You both seem to be reasonable people. I know I'm calling Fkatzoid reasonable. What the hell's going on? But yeah,
I was about
like
to say,
I've got a hard stop at midnight, but you guys can go for as long as you like up until that point. I know it's very, very early there for Critical Think, and it's starting to get late for you there, Keith. So, you know, over to you guys and just have fun.
Okay, I've got a question. So, Fkatzoid said there was no independent variable. What makes you think that?
Well, let's first set up your hypothesis. What is your hypothesis?
I've shown my hypothesis again today, and it's on every video. The centrifugal force and gravity will cause a change in weight because the gravity and centrifugal force will vary over various parts of the globe that we can predict. So that's the hypothesis.
So how did you vary centrifugal force?
Go to a different location.
Location isn't centrifugal force.
That's how I varied it, because it is different at different locations.
That's again correlation, not causation. That's my whole point. You are claiming that centrifugal force, which you're trying to prove, by the way, centrifugal force. Correct?
I am verifying the WGS84 model.
WGS84 model is an ellipsoidal model that's got nothing to do with centrifugal force. Now, I'm asking you...
That's not correct.
How do you respond to stupid like that?
The WGS 84 model has nothing to do with centrifugal force. I don't think he's even read the WGS 84
I
model.
don't think you can even
What does he
spell
know?
it.
How does he come up with this stuff? I noticed there I didn't press him on the answer. Well, why doesn't he think I don't have an independent variable? Well, I wonder if we'll get to that a little bit further. Maybe we do. I've forgotten.
Yeah, I watched this through a couple of times while I was doing the video that never made the light of day, and I'm having trouble remembering things. But maybe it's because my brain sort of blocked out the stupid because it was just too much at once. We'll see how we go.
That is correct. It's an ellipsoidal model. The
it's not
WGS84
correct.
is simply the WGS84 is simply an ellipsoidal model that they use for surveying. You can later on expound on that to say you can make correlations with centrifugal force based on that, but you still haven't even shown the WGS84 to be a proper model in the first place because surveying measures the Earth flat anyway. But my point is, you claiming...
What's he talking about?
Yeah.
He's talking complete, utter rubbish. And again, he's trying to make out like correlation. We're doing correlation. No, we're not. No, we're not. We've got our model. We've got our hypothesis. The correlation is to test how good the data fits the hypothesis. The correlation is not the only thing you have. So he's got to make that point because he's on the side of untruth. And
well,
anyway,
it makes it obvious that he's not thinking about it at all. He's just regurgitating what he's heard someone say, and he thinks it's a gotcha, so he just says it. And if you pressed him on it, he wouldn't be able to explain it. But that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's a damn PC. On with the stupid.
Centrifugal force is the cause for the effect. Is that correct?
No, that's not the sole cause. It's the gravity variation because of the ellipsoid shape of the Earth. And you are not correct about the WGS84 model. It does take into account centrifugal force because that formula is for the net gravity, which is the gravity minus centrifugal. So that's so you're incorrect about WGS84 model.
Where does the WGS84 model come from?
There's a bunch of smart people, much smarter than you or I, have come. I test the model, right? I say, well, okay, these smart guys have come up with a WGS84 model. I want to check if it's true or not. Let me see. Oh, this WGS84 model predicts this. Well, I know I can go out and measure these weights and I can determine for myself, does this WGS84 model accurately predict what should happen? And lo and behold, it does. It does, down to the few hundredths of a gram. So,
yeah, but did you calibrate the scales?
Yes, of course I did. I calibrated them once, measured many. And you talked about flying on the airplane disturbing the scales. That's great in theory, but you've never tested it, and I have. I've flown all over the place with those scales, and when I come back home, the scales, lo and behold, they measure exactly at the point of calibration the exact same weight. So flying everywhere does not disturb the scales.
You know what a load cell is in the scale?
Who cares?
I care because you're using a load scale, so you should know what a load scale does. Do you know how a load scale works?
Yes, it's got a torsion measurement in it, but who cares?
I care because you are claiming science, so therefore it's under very strict guidelines. As soon as you move a scale, it takes the calibration out.
No, it does not.
Yes,
I told you. I told you, right? These scales, in various locations, including Antarctica, I'm back in home, and calibration was still intact.
Do you want to say something, CT?
that's it. He doesn't understand calibration or why you calibrate. He thinks that you move the scale, it disturbs something inside the scale, and therefore you have to readjust the mechanism. He thinks that's what calibration is. Okay, there is no such thing. And as I described there, I in the early days, I thought moving the scale might disturb the mechanism. I thought there's a possibility of this. But I've taken those blinking scales everywhere, dropped them on the ground at times, and I was thinking at the time, oh, my goodness, I've destroyed all my measurement. But they're pretty robust. And when I bring the scale back home and it calibrates the same, then I know that they're not disturbed by movement. The reason why you calibrate is because the mechanism needs to cater for different forces acting on the mass at different locations on the planet. And yes, look at him furiously typing, Googling everything so that he can come up with some stuff.
Yes. Yeah, and you're absolutely right. That's why you calibrate, because you need to say that at this location I want to measure 500 grams is 500 grams. You've got a weight that has been, I don't know how they do it, but they scientifically say this is 500 grams, and you want it to be 500 grams in that location, so you calibrate to that, and then you don't calibrate when you move elsewhere, because that's what you're testing. You're testing what's the difference in the centrifugal force
and gravity, two things that are different. Yeah. Moving it disturbs it exactly to the globe prediction. See that super chat?
Yes. Thank you for that, Volcano Truther. And it's cut off for me. Truther Tad, that's it. Thank you for that. My number one supporter right now. Well, he's given 2 super chats, so that's more than everyone else, I guess. But I'd rather people give money to Critical Think right now for the stream. Let's have a check. Let's see where that's got to right now. Oops, hang on. Why didn't that go? Check the fundraiser, refresh. And it's still spinning. Yeah, we got a little bit more, 321. Who's donated recently? Anonymous just gave another 89. Keith is a horrifying sexist. Okay, 15. Monkey in the works. Good on you, mate. You're an awesome dude. 41 bucks and 85, $10. So within the last 2 hours. So how long have I been going? I've been going, what time is it now? It's 8:30. So yeah, I guess anything. So these two are the ones on this stream. So we're not quite 40 grand. So let's see what we can do. Let's go back and see what more stupid Fkatzoid can send our way.
How often do you calibrate your scales?
Oh, this one I haven't calibrated for 6 months.
You know, I calibrate my scale every 2 months.
That's okay. That's because the way. That's okay. That's because the way you use your scale, right? The way I'm using the scale, first of all, I've got a very, very good scale, and it keeps its calibration. Now, I used to calibrate every trip, but I wanted to see how long I can go without calibrating the scale, and I test the calibration by weighing my test mass at the location that I calibrated it, and it holds calibration.
Okay. According to Ariane scales, anytime that a scale is moved, most scale manufacturers will suggest that the unit be recalibrated. Weighing readings fluctuating, there may be best times that you place an item scale performing the weight. Yes, moving a
This really gets me, because he thinks he's got a gotcha. He's got the manufacturer saying you've got to calibrate it all the time, but they're not thinking that you're going to go around the world testing the centripetal force.
Yes, just Googled that. He's reading it out now.
As if he's an expert in it suddenly.
Yeah.
Calibrated scale can take it out of calibration. The scale is calibrated to a specific location.
Aha!
And it can damage the scale calibration. So, did you calibrate in that location at Antarctica?
I think I explained already that would invalidate the experiment. That would be stupid.
Not an experiment, and this is my whole point. So, in other words, you literally taking false correlations and claiming it to be scientific because you're incompetent to be able to scale to go and calibrate the scale. And I want to ask you another thing: would a 100 gram, let's say you take a kilogram scale and you calibrate it where you were, okay? Should that weight be physically heavier at the poles?
I don't know what you mean by physically heavier. What does that mean?
You said centrifugal force, so to change its physical weight.
So something weighs, right? It's physically one mass all the time. So when the force acting on it, like centrifugal and gravity, makes the weight different. So when I take a measurement with a scale, it is a physical measurement, and the measurement will measure different, yes.
Oh, so the physical weight changes. Did you test this by calibrating the scale again to make sure that this is true?
If I calibrate the scale again, the weight won't change. It will still be 1,000 grams. So why would I do that? That's not the point of the experiment.
So in other words, it is how can I put it, a rigged, not experiment.
I don't know how you make that conclusion. So let me just say this. Fkatzoid goes and calibrates his scale at home. Then he goes to Antarctica and he calibrates his scale again. Fkatzoid has proved that 100 grams mass weighs 100 grams mass after calibration. So great experiment there, Fkatzoid.
So in other words, no weight change. Critical, no weight change.
Say that again.
So in other words, no weight change then. So the weight change.
You've invalidated. You've invalidated
your own argument. So in other words, it's not the actual weight change. It is correlation based on the movement of the scale, which takes it out of its calibration.
So why can you tell me, why do you need to calibrate a scale when you move to a different location?
I told you, because it takes it
Tell me.
total, because it's
No. What is the physical reason? What are the factors that would determine that your scale would weigh differently?
temperature, movement, if it's out of balance.
So let's say I don't calibrate my scale like I did, and I go to Antarctica and it weighs 1,003.80 grams. There's a 3.8 grams difference. What do you say makes that difference, 3.8 grams?
Could have been the weather. It's very cold.
Okay. Have you got any experiments or proof or calculation or anything at all that would lead you to make this conclusion? Any experiments, measurements, calculations?
I did a demonstration a few years ago where I took a bottle on a scale and I heated it up and the weight changed.
How much? Hold it there.
A few grams.
Hold it there. I looked up his experiment with the bottle. He's got an empty bottle. He put it on the scales and he heated the bottle. But he left the lid on the bottle.
All right.
So he's measuring buoyancy, not weight. So that was him
like
thinking like a hot air balloon.
Yes, I was about to say, yeah.
So he's saying, oh, look, I heated my bottle up and it weighed less. Therefore, a lump of metal should weigh less. Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear. Again, he's claiming he knows something about the scientific method, but he's a complete numbnut.
He doesn't know anything he hasn't been told. That's the thing. The exact thing they accuse us of, but we do the test to see if we should believe them or not. They don't. They just accept that it's come from someone on our side, whatever that happens to mean, and they just accept it critically. That's why you're critical think, to show them how not to do that. But they just don't listen because they're idiots. But yeah, and I just love the way he sort of talks so adamantly as if I have the truth, you know? when he clearly knows nothing about what he's talking about. Anyway.
I want to see that experiment.
It's not an experiment. That's what I'm saying. You don't understand what an experiment is. The point is, are you even in your...
Oh, I just love it when flirts say, oh, you don't know what an experiment is. They said TFE wasn't an experiment, it's an observation. Well, an observation is part of the experiment at the very least, you know? It's kind of the first step.
Indeed.
But it was more than that. You were testing a hypothesis. Two hypotheses, in fact, one that it was a globe and one that it was flat. And one failed and one didn't. Wonder which one was which.
Opening, you literally said temperature changes the weight, correct?
That's correct. Can I ask you a question then? To do with that?
So based on this, if you're in Antarctica, was it colder in Antarctica?
Yes. So what would you expect the temperature to do to the weight? What would you expect? How much weight would you expect with that temperature and in which direction?
A very good question, because he said it several times. Well, temperature affects the scale, but hasn't said how. So yes, very good question.
What's the temperature?
So, but in his buoyancy experiment, in his buoyancy experiment where he heated up the bottle on the scale, it got hot and weighed less. So he should have said, even based on his own experiment, he should have said, oh, it would get colder. I would expect it to get heavier. He should have said that, but he missed that. Yeah. But even though his experiment is not the same experiment, it's a buoyancy experiment, but he missed the opportunity. But anyway, I digress.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's something he should do because he should find out, just like everyone else does. But he'd rather just accept brainwashing from some idiot, Nathan Oakley. In most cases, I believe. Anyway,
it was, I don't know, I didn't measure it. Would be about 20 degrees. 20 degrees.
Yeah. So in other words, doesn't science have a very rigorous thing? You have to have a controlled environment. Was your environment controlled?
Yes. Yes,
you just told me you don't know the temperature.
No, I don't. But I tell you this, right? I've done experiments before where I measured the temperature each time. I've verified that the temperature has little effect. Right? So there's no point in taking measurements of the temperature. It doesn't change anything. I've done that experiment. I've done that control. I've done it all. I don't need to do it again.
So temperature changes it, yet you just ignore it. That is
okay. Let me ask you a question.
Anything you just said.
No. Let me ask you a question. I'm driving along the road in my car at 60 mile an hour, 100 kilometers an hour. A bug hits the windscreen. Does that change the speed of the car?
That's a total false equivalence. We are talking about science.
Can you answer the question or not answer the question? Does the bug change the speed?
The mass of the car is much more than the bug. It's not going to change anything because that's not science. It's a false equivalence. It's a red herring. So I'm going back to the actual argument. You claim a variable you don't have to account for a control because you said that
you can tell me you have the equation for how many grams per degree centigrade. Can you give me that equation?
I didn't say anything about having equation.
No. Well, if you're wanting to make this inference, if you're wanting to make this claim, you need the evidence to back it up. The evidence needs to be degrees centigrade per gram. If you don't have that, then you can be quiet.
Okay, now it's starting to get angry. Okay, so I'm going to...
Well, actually, I think it's where you're starting to shine. This was your first ever debate, and you're really handling him very well.
Thank you.
You're not letting him get away with bullshit. You're recognizing that he's just regurgitating brainwashing, and you're asking him questions that he can't really answer, but it's interesting to see what responses he regurgitates. So.
Yeah, doesn't answer anything.
You have to understand it before you can answer it, really. So, well, if in a valid way, of course. You can answer it in an invalid way.
That again, do you know you had more than one independent variable at play there? That's what wasn't controlled.
What are the independent variables that you were claiming?
Temperature was claimed. The movement of the scale was one of them. The fact that you had magnetic anomalies there as well. You know there are. How did you account for the magnetic poles there?
So I've already done all these measurements at prior time. The magnetic field doesn't have any effect. The temperature is. See, there's an error in the measurement. All of these things are below the measurement error threshold, so they can be ignored. So unless you can give me the degrees, how many grams per degree centigrade, how many...
Look at the smug face on him. He thinks, I've got you here. He has to Google it, though.
So, Andrew Johnson, yes, the scales were used within the environmental variables certified by the manufacturer. Therefore, that's another reason why you don't have to worry about the temperature. And I've since, after this show, I've since done some more research, and the scale manufacturers, they do a lot of work to make sure they have temperature compensation circuits in the scale so that they can stick to their environmental variables. They certify the scales to work within this temperature range. So, yeah, so Fkatzoid, you're full of, what's that what you call it? Human excrement? That's what you call it?
Don't insult human excrement like that. He's more pig shit. Anyway.
A microphone? Unless you can give me these numbers, what you're saying is completely irrelevant.
Do you have in your scale electric?
Well, it's got electronics in it.
Someone's playing music.
Where's the music from?
Okay, sorry. Okay, but I'm saying, is your scale electronic?
Yeah.
And does electronics go haywire thanks to magnetic field?
Not necessarily, no.
So you say that electronics can't be altered by a magnetic field?
The significance, like, there's no measurable effect. I've put a speaker. Do you know how many microtors a speaker would generate? I've put a speaker next to my scale, and it made no difference. So I think that trumps your just saying something where I've actually done the experiment, and I've tested this, and there's no measurable effect.
Just saying experiment doesn't make it an experiment. Now, I'm going to tell you again, did you account for any of these controls that you're claiming to just ignore? Because if you're claiming science, you need to have controls, and those controls need to stay constant. When you
He's answered every one of your questions about controls and said that he has. What more do you want?
Yeah. Yes. I just got to Google something myself here.
Ooh, doing it for Fkatzoid yourself.
So I said something wrong there, but I think somebody's pointed out to me before. There it is there. Microtors. Yes, it's micro Tesla. I should have said.
I thought.
Okay.
Yes, I was
Slip of the tongue.
Strength has to do with anything. Okay, cool. Micro Teslas, all right. Yes.
tested it at your home, were those controls set the exact same control when you went to Antarctica?
I don't need to do that. Now, let me ask you a question. When you weigh your paint, do you go outside and measure the height of the tree next to your house?
Why do I need to do that?
Exactly. Thank you.
Is that science? In measuring the height of a tree science?
That to me was a slam dunk, but he missed it completely.
And I forgot to measure the colour of my shoes too. Dear, oh dear. That's another uncontrolled variable.
Or the girth of my belly, but that would have taken you a while, I guess.
Yeah. I don't think I got a tape measure big enough for that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to use the trundle wheel. I think
Still might take
trundle wheel's the only thing.
All right, on with the stupid.
Of course, measuring anything is science.
Measuring the height of a tree is not science. What's the cause and effect of measuring the height of the tree? Please go ahead, tell me.
Measuring the height of a tree is not science.
Of course
I guess
it
on
is.
its own, it's just a measurement, but you're doing that to find out to match the hypothesis that the tree is a certain height, and you're finding out what the height is, I guess.
So if you didn't have a hypothesis for your scale and you were looking for the reason why the weight changed, I mean, you might make a hypothesis. Well, maybe it's the trees. I should measure the height of the trees. I mean, there could be a scenario where that matters. But in this case, the hypothesis is well known, and it's well known that the height of the tree is not going to affect the scale. So we don't go around measuring the heights of the trees. That's the point I try to make here.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's focusing on things that are relevant, but to idiots, they seem connected. So remember, his audience is idiots. So as you can tell by his journal, on with the stupid.
That's right. It's irrelevant. You don't need to do it. Same thing. I
But
don't
it's
need to
not
measure
science.
the temperature because the
If you
height of the
science-
tree,
wait,
the
wait,
height of the tree has nothing to do with the measurement. That's the science.
Okay,
As an engineer, right? This is my job. This has been my job for many years, right? You work out what are the effects that you need to take into account on. I've done that. I've done experiments to determine that temperature has little to no effect. Buoyancy has little to no effect. Magnetism has little to no effect. I've actually measured it. What have you done, Fkatzoid?
I'm calling you out and saying it's not scientific, first of all.
That's just that's nothing.
No, it's not you haven't provided science yet. You're saying science doesn't make it science. I'm going to ask you.
I'm not going to let you dictate what
science.
science.
Guys, one time, guys. Fkatzoid, you could just ask your question. Try not to, tell him what he thinks, because obviously that's getting things a bit tense. So you can just ask your question in a polite way as possible and give Critical a chance to respond. That'd be wonderful.
Okay, cool. So, critical think. Science is supposed to be repeatable. I think you would agree with that.
Yes.
So, how do you repeat something if you don't have the same controls?
But when I'm telling you now, I don't need to keep the temperature constant. As long as I keep the temperature in the range of 15 to 30 degrees, then the scale is rated with that temperature. I've tested it that the scale will weigh the same in that temperature range. I don't need to control the temperature. That is the only control I need for temperature, is just keep it within a reasonable range.
Okay, so in case you didn't realize, you just didn't then do a repeatable experiment, and therefore it's not science. Because to do a repeatable experiment, you have to keep all the variables the same. That goes for control variables.
Oh, gee, this is so stupid.
Variables that are
Absolutely. Look at the smug face again. Don't you just want to punch that face? Not that anyone should.
He's talking complete rubbish. And oh my goodness me.
Yeah, he's got this dumb definition of science that he doesn't understand clearly because he can't talk about the nuances of it, like you are, and he just sticks to that because he thinks it's a gotcha. Yes, I don't want anyone punching Fkatzoid, okay? I didn't tell anyone to say that. I just said his face was punchable. It's a description, not a request. Okay. Anything else, CT? Or?
Huh?
No? Anything else you want to say? Or
No. Just carry on. Carry on.
All right, on with the stupid.
insignificant. It is insignificant. You don't have to keep it the same because it has no effect. I don't go outside and measure the height of the tree because it's not significant. I mean, the tree has mass. Maybe it will affect my scale some way. Oh, I should know. I should measure the tree. You never know. Oh, my God, the tree could affect the scales. Oh.
And again, it's where you're shining as a debater. You're really mocking him in a way that he deserves. And, and you're pointing out where he's wrong. And you realise he's got no reason whatsoever. And hence you're entitled to mock him. There's a face. It looks like he has been punched there, doesn't it?
Yeah, the smugness is pretty annoying. But anyway.
That's what makes him hilarious. You've got to look at it that way.
I don't think you understand what's really going on here. I'm going to try it another way. Let's say you are trying to... I'm trying to think what experiment can we go through. Let's say you're trying to prove that that conductivity creates heat energy. Okay? Now, you're going to do an experiment to do this, but now you don't have the same controls when you try and do it repeated. Will that be a valid, repeatable scientific experiment if you didn't follow the first hypothesis and experiment?
So I'm not sure.
You don't follow hypothesis.
He's just
system.
making no sense.
Like I said, he's just
So
saying
I think-
things he thinks sound good.
Yeah. It makes no sense. I think that's probably what I'm about to say.
Yes. Let's see.
What you're getting at there with that. I've repeated this experiment many times. So can you explain to me why is the weight exactly pretty much within hundredths of a gram? Why is it within a hundredths of a gram of my prediction? It could be anything. If you're saying temperature, pressure, why is that the weight is always spot on within a couple of hundredths of a gram of the prediction? Why is that? Is that
He just won't answer this question too. It's
No, he refuses.
because he has no alternative hypothesis. So until you do, you got to go with a hypothesis that has data for it.
So he's
Wait, what is that?
describing.
Sorry.
He's describing random effects. They say, "Oh, your experiment is not valid because, maybe temperature could affect your scale." And because temperature affects your scale, this is an explanation for the weight, but he leaves out the thing that the prediction was matched by the measurement. And a random event like a temperature change cannot produce that result. And he seems to conveniently forget that.
Yeah. Fliffs don't understand significance. When we're talking about figures, the significance of them. They don't understand margin of error. They don't understand more than one thing affecting things at the same time. All these things are just beyond their comprehension. So they just nitpick on things until they find something that, have you tested the temperature thing? Well, you don't really need to because the manufacturer says it'll work in Antarctica as it should anywhere else. So
Yes.
they've tested it. That's why they can say that.
Yes, so they've had that. They've got that circuitry built into the scales to compensate for temperature. So let's go.
I'm with the stupid.
Well, you didn't have any controls to say what's the
No.
cause, so it was not
If
scientific.
I had no controls, the weight would be random. All right, I would not be able to predict it. But I predicted it.
Uh-oh. I lost you. Oh. Okay, yeah, we lost you. Looks like, I'm still here. Oh, I'm dominating the screen now. So I just have to wait for Hugh to come back or something. Maybe he was in a thunderstorm or something and cut the power or something. So what am I going to do now? I don't know that I haven't got any repertoire, any songs and dances that I can do. So I don't know. I've got to find a way. I've got to find a way to keep everybody entertained. So All right. We better get hit. Who's got a question? Something about what Fkatzoid said, or something. You explain how the scales work. Okay, great. We did this with and how to temperature compare. Right, the Copium Emporium. We did this with explain how the scales work. So the scale works in that they have a strain gauge. They commonly refer to it as a load cell. And I actually opened up my scales and looked inside, got the specs for the load cell and looked at the circuit just to verify my understanding of the scales. Until this debate with Fkatzoid, I never worried about it. But the strain gauge, the load cell is rated to a certain accuracy, and then they feed that into a temperature compensation circuit, which I think is a Wheatstone bridge. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that keeps the current flowing through the circuit, and then as the temperature changes, it compensates for the difference in reading when the temperature changes the load cell. It also changes the compensation circuit, and so the manufacturers set up their scale so that they can rate them to work reliably within the error tolerance, say -10 to +40 for something like this. So the scale measures force; it doesn't measure mass, and the calibration is to allow the scale to work out what is the local force in that area. So that's why to come out you have a known mass, and the scale measures the force, and then it can work out what is the acceleration due to gravity and centrifugal force. What is that factor at that location? And then you put an unknown mass on the scale, and it's already knows the multiplication factor and how that works. So no, I don't have my reference kilogram with you. I haven't. I was originally going to come to Thailand just for 21 days, but I've been here for 3 months now. So I've left my scales at home this time. It was only going to be a short trip, but I've been here a long time now. It's got people looking after the house and stuff like that. So the calibration weight, you can look it up on Google. It's just a metal weight, a reference weight. And Hugh Jarsz has sent me a message. He's lost his internet. His modem has no lights. So it looks like you're stuck with me for now. Now, I could discuss the state of the universe prior to the Big Bang with respect to the density force, but I think I'll just give that one a miss. I don't think it's got much to do with the weight scale. Oh, okay. You want to see mine? Well, if you want to see my reference kilogram, I could refer you back to one of my videos where I show it on many of my videos. You'll see the my reference weight in those videos. Maybe if I can find a video and give you the link. Let me see. If I can just hold on here. I got to pick up a window that I'm not using. Find one that works. So how is he still streaming if it has no internet? I believe it must be the server. So he's got StreamYard is actually doing the streaming. When he comes back online, he'll be able to connect back in and get this going. So I'm not in Bangkok. I'm in northeastern part of Thailand. I'm in Khon Kaen. Now something's frozen on my end. Oh, mine's frozen too. Oh, there we're back. Oh, the gremlins. Okay, catching up on the messages now. Okay, it was just my end that was frozen. Now, this is fun, isn't it? All right, you want to see my calibration? Calibration weight. There. You've seen that video. That's one of them. Yeah. Just typing a message to Hugh. So Hugh's going to reboot his PC. And we'll get this going. All right, I'll explain the hat. That's a very good question. The hat. Now, I think it was back in 2014, 2015, somewhere around that time. No, so I'm not showing anything. So back in there, I took a bit of a half circle road trip from Brisbane up to Rockhampton and maybe a little bit further, hang a left across to Tennant Creek in Darwin, and then down to Alice Springs. And I found this hat at a shop. So the guy makes these hats. He's got the shop in Alice Springs. So I bought this hat, and I think it's a pretty cool hat. So it's not an Akubra, but it's because it's made by this dude, homemade in Alice Springs. And on my very first YouTube video, I never thought of putting the hat on. I thought, geez, my hair looks a mess. So I thought and I'm an Aussie YouTuber, I thought I'd have the hat. So the hat's stuck with it. My signature hat. Sometimes I wear a different hat. Now, I almost lost this hat. And I can tell you this story where I almost lost the hat. So I used to come to Thailand regularly, and I was visiting Thailand, and actually in this city here where I'm living now, Khon Kaen. And I went to the hotel and checked out the hotel in the morning, and I must have taken my hat off and put it on the roof of the car or something. But I drove off without my hat. And
okay, I'm back.
Yeah, let me finish this story about my hat. So I lost my hat in the car park. Well, I didn't know then, but I lost my hat. I drove off. I got 100 metres down the road, and I said, my goodness, I don't have my hat. And so we walked back. We asked all the shopkeepers. I looked along the road, went back to the car. We were on foot. We walked, and one of the shopkeepers said about, oh, we saw someone in the car park, a kid, pick up your hat and run away with my hat. So Udon Thani is north of here, and further north that is Nong Khai, and Nong Khai is on the Mekong. So, but anyway, we're in Khon Kaen, and so I went back to the reception, and they said, "Oh, have you seen my hat?" And they weren't really interested. I mean, the hat's special to me. They don't know that. They weren't really interested, and said, "Oh, if we see your hat, we'll call you." So I went to the police station, and I said, "Oh, I lost my hat. The hat's very special to me." And the policeman rings up the hotel, and a little while later, the hotel, "Oh, we found your hat. So I got my hat back, and here it is, the same hat. All right. Thank you for allowing me to tell that story.
No worries. I'm glad you could fill in the time. I don't know what happened. Last week I got super duper fiber to the house installed, and it's been perfect right up until now when I need it to be perfect. So anyway, that's
so this,
that's
when you get
internet
to
for you.
watch this, it's going to be funny because I'm sitting there like a deer in the headlights. Huh? What? Where's Hugh?
Yes,
So
maybe
I had to.
I turned around suddenly and couldn't see myself or something like that.
I was thinking about what kind of song and dance routine I've got. But anyway, you can carry on now.
Yes, so hopefully my modem will keep going. So yeah, it was a good story. I'm really annoyed that happened at all, but hey, that's the life of being a live streamer. All right,
Yeah,
Tom,
somebody
with the
says-
stupid, eh? Sorry, yep.
I said, where would I have gotten a new hat from if you had needed to buy another one? Look, that's a very good question, and I'm not sure how I could answer that because I didn't get to be without my hat long enough to be able to think about that. But anyway, thank you for the question. Sorry, Hugh. Keep going.
All right, on with the stupid.
5 grams, a difference of half a gram, just because the scales are not only accurate to within plus or minus 0.03 grams. That's engineering, that's science. You don't understand it. So you have not yet explained to me why the weight was a couple of hundredths of a gram from the prediction. You haven't given me that explanation. Why are you avoiding this?
Okay, I'm going to try this again. Just saying, no, you don't understand doesn't mean I don't understand because I've clearly shown you have no idea of what science really is. So let's do this.
It's so hilarious when these idiots say things like that because he's demonstrated he's an idiot, and now he's saying, "Oh, you have no idea."
Is a scientific hypothesis.
But before we move on to that, just for the sake of fairness, I did get Critical to answer your question as well. He is just asking one very specific question, and that is why did his prediction match what was in reality? Could you just quickly address that and then we move on to whether you think it's correlation or not? Why do you think it was that his prediction so closely matched reality? And then we could totally move on to your question there, Fkatzoid, if that's okay.
It didn't. The fact even said he measured it multiple times and he had different measured readings.
What's he talking about?
Hang on, what's going on?
Uh,
You've got me, haven't you? Why is
yeah,
this
I
weird?
just see this. It's circling.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be. This has been open for a while. It should have already downloaded. This is why if he downloads these things before he does the live stream. Maybe I should start doing that. I don't do them that often, is the thing. Oh, geez, this is annoying. 38 minutes 29. So let's pause to look at the fundraiser and let's see if I can get that refreshed. Spinning. Yep. Is that more than what we had last time?
Just a minute.
I think it's where we're at. So
I've got
yeah,
to catch up something here.
but that's okay. We agree. We're very grateful for everything that everyone's donated and what everyone will donate. Let's get it over 40,000K so that when DP Debugs comes back on, he can shit his pants on screen. So that'd be good. All right. Let's see if I'm going to try and refresh this. It was 38.21, I think it was. So, oh no, it's going to stay there. Why
Can you just quickly address that and then we move on to whether you think it's correlation or not? Why do you think it was that his prediction so closely matched reality? And then we could totally move on to your question there, Fkatzoid, if that's okay.
It didn't. The fact even said he measured it multiple times and he had different measured readings. Yeah, correlation again is not causation. So I've answered it. It didn't give what you claim because it's close enough, so therefore it's true is not science. So again.
No, dear Lord, please. I can't believe this. I measured it different times and I got different results. Yes, they were supposed to be different. I predicted them to be different. They were the same as the prediction. Why is he making that point? It's stupid.
And it's confusing close enough within the margin of error or within the tolerances. So.
Oh,
Yeah, if you've got a ruler that's it goes down to millimeters, your margin of error is half a millimeter. If you can get something within half a millimeter, you're within the margin of error. It is close enough by definition. He thinks close enough is
Yes.
like, oh, it's a foot extra, but it doesn't matter.
Close enough. That's and like the Copium Emporium says, it's infuriating. Yes, very infuriating. This
And
is
you've been
using
through it
that
once.
language.
So sorry to put you through it again. All right, we've got 15 minutes left, so let's see how we go. We're obviously not going to get through it all, but we're having a good time laughing at it and playing with internet problems. All right, let's see. Let's hope they stay away and on with the stupid.
I don't think he answered the question. Can I expand on that?
Yeah, Flash, is it okay if he just expands and then he answers your question? Is that right? Just to give him a chance to respond, and then we will get to your question, I promise. Yeah, over to you, Critical.
So just because it weighs slightly different at one location doesn't explain that it was plus or minus 300s at one location and then plus or minus 300s at a different location, or a few hundreds, a different location, a different number, a different prediction, nowhere near the prediction of the first one, right? The predictions are vastly different, yet the scales weigh within a few hundreds of each prediction. We're not talking about the weights we take at one location. This is multiple locations with very different predictions. So how do you explain that in Santiago, it weighs 1,000.35 or something like that, and in Antarctica, it weighs 1,003.80, and I predicted it, and it weighed that? How do you explain those two different locations?
Cool, are you going to answer my question now?
Yeah, so 100% we'll get your question, but just why do you think there is those differences? And just a quick 30-second response. And
I already explained it. Pressure, temperature, movement of the scale, magnetic fields. If you just know what a scale does with movement alone, you'll know that it gives difference. The fact that you had little change, like you said, is literally just based on any other variable. You cannot pinpoint a variable because you didn't control for anything, which means it's incompetence, which
He doesn't understand the word you're saying.
No, he said, oh, you only had a little change when I said it was 300ths of a gram, but that was from the prediction. Oh,
That's the accuracy of the prediction.
yeah, it's not that the weight changed from one location to the next by 300ths. That's not what happened. Oh, good. I never noticed that that bit before. This is the first time I noticed him saying that. Oh, thanks for that.
You were probably so infuriated from the last time he infuriated you. So you just missed it. Yes, it's infuriation upon infuriation, but it's hilarious as well. So remember the positive side of it.
saying it's not a scientific experiment. So can you please tell me what a scientific hypothesis is, please?
Yeah, I feel like that, well, even if you don't agree, that was an attempt at an answer. So yeah, 100%. I'm happy to move on to the next bit if you are critical as well, to just move on to Fkatzoid's question. Is that okay with you?
I will. Excuse me. I can move on, but he's obviously making several errors in his logic there that I would like the chance to correct at a later point.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make a note, put a pin on that. So that if one point on the back and forth, you can go back and kind of cover any extra points that you feel. But just for the sake of the conversation, to move on right now, give Fkatzoid a chance to ask his question and then respond to that. And then
So
we can go back.
And what is a hypothesis? Is that the question?
What's a scientific hypothesis?
That is when you make a guess about what might be causing an observed physical phenomenon.
Great. And in the hypothesis, what are the constituent variables?
It depends on the hypothesis. Are you talking our specific example or what?
Yeah, a scientific hypothesis. What are the constituent variables?
That's not the question that someone who understands science would ask.
Yeah, it's a nonsensical question.
Because as you
let's see
said,
what my
depends on the experiment. What you're actually trying to test. You read that in a book, I bet. So
It's not just any general stuff. It varies depending on what you're trying to hypothesize. So in my hypothesis here, the variables are their latitude and height above.
look at his smug face. Punchable again. Don't punch him. It's just a description of his face.
Sea level.
Okay, so the IV is latitude.
No, there's two IVs: latitude and height above sea level.
That's not. No, you can only have an independent variable because how would you know which is the cause?
So you're able to have two independent variables. I'm sorry you don't know science.
Okay, so how do you know what's the cause if you have more than one cause?
Because you can make measurements that isolate each independent variable. Very easy.
Okay, let's do it simply. What causes fire?
Three things.
Something burning.
No, something.
Well, actually, just before he says it, there's three things that cause fire. You need to have oxygen, you need to have heat, and you need to have fuel. There's three things that cause fire. Oh, is he going to get onto the sun? And because the sun's a ball of fire. I love it when flirts do that. Let's see.
Burning is a product of fire. I say, what causes fire?
It's a chemical reaction generates heat. What's the point?
Okay, so let me try and correct you something. When you make a hypothesis, this is why you have multiple hypotheses in a scientific experiment. That's why you have research, because they have already done hypothesis and experiment, which has either validated or invalidated the hypothesis. A hypothesis has a single independent variable, because that is the presumed cause.
No, you just don't know what you're talking about, you twit.
No.
As I said, fire has 3 causes. You take away one and you don't have fire.
Yeah.
So there's 3 independent variables.
For the effect observed. So if you are presuming latitude is the change, you have to manipulate latitude. Great. If you're claiming height is the change, you have to manipulate height. But those are 2 separate hypotheses. They're not the same hypothesis. You can't have them on the same. You have to test them separately, and you have to repeat them separately. You have to have the controls the same. So I'm going to ask you again. Can you give me your scientific hypothesis for what you're claiming?
I already did. I'm not going to do it again.
No,
I'm
because
sorry if you can't understand.
You're not giving a cause for an effect. You're not giving science.
I've
So
already
you're
given
not-
it 8 times. What are you going on about? Already
Okay.
given it.
So it's not centrifugal force was the cause then?
Why are you saying that? You,
Because you said
you obviously haven't. You obviously haven't been listening.
You
You're
said
not
that-
learning. So I think you should. I think you should listen more than you talk. You might actually learn something.
Yeah, I think take your medicine. So you claimed latitude is the cause. Where's centrifugal force in latitude?
No, latitude is not the cause. Latitude
That's
is
IV.
an independent variable.
That
And
is the
listen,
cause. That
you're-
is an IV.
Right, let's not, try not to talk, guys. That I know we like dumpster fires on the channel. Let's try and keep it as calm as possible, and give each other a chance to get their thoughts out completely. Critical, could you just take 30 seconds to clarify your thought there, and then Fkatzoid can respond?
Clarify my thoughts about, all right, independent variables, right? I don't want Fkatzoid to try to teach me about science, right? That's an insult. And this is the independent variable I said is latitude and height, because these 2 things will vary the weight. The cause is centrifugal force and gravity. Now, changing the latitude and changing the height will change the gravity and change the weight. There's nothing unscientific about that.
Okay, first of all, the IV, the independent variable, is the presumed cause. You not knowing that already shows you don't know what you're talking about. And yeah, it should be embarrassing to know a flat earther has to literally...
That's a classic. And I didn't remember that. You face palming yourself.
and Craig's biting his hand.
Yes. Whereas Derpface is just derping. Yes.
Yeah.
Volcano Truther Todd, Keith denies the existence of fire extinguisher. Yes, very much. And DVD Bunk says the current total raise for CT this weekend is 13,243. Well done, everyone. Everyone who made that happen, everyone who contributed. Thank you very much. We're up to 39,402. So come on, let's get over that 40,000. I want to see DP shit his pants. DP, can you please email me or something a link to the next stream so I can put in the set up the redirect for it? Okay, on with the stupid.
Bangerhead has to literally teach a scientist or engineer what science is if you can't even get past what independent variable. By the way, if you're claiming latitude and height is independent variable, you can't claim gravity or centrifugal force because those are different independent variables. So in other words, you've got 4 independent variables for one hypothesis, which is literally pseudoscience. It's correlation.
Pseudoscience. I love it when flirfs say, "Oh, actual science is pseudoscience," simply because they don't like it.
Yeah. Stupid.
And gravity has also not gone through the scientific method to be even shown to be used for this. And centrifugal force cannot be used because you're trying to prove it's due to centrifugal force. So the cause cannot be the observed phenomena and the cause. So again, we're going back. What is your independent variable? That is the cause.
Hold on. He even if you don't agree, Fkatzoid, he has answered your question multiple times. So there's no point asking the same thing,
Okay,
even if you disagree. So how about this? Obviously, you disagree with his what he thinks about what the IVs and that are. But within the globe paradigm, what would you suggest the IV would be for the experiment? Would that be a good thing to talk about?
Yeah, because it's not my claim. I'm not someone saying it's science, because I understand shape is not science. Correlation is definitely not scientific. You have correlation in statistics, but it comes after causation.
Where's my cursor?
Correlation comes after
I've lost it.
causation.
There it is. Yeah, go on.
I'm just. It's just so stupid. I'm laughing.
Yep, it is. I'm just going to spend a little bit of time setting up the redirect to the next stream on DP Debug. So I'll let you shout out if you want it to stop, but I'm not going to be focused on this just for a minute or so.
So let's.
Yeah.
All right, then. We go back to what you said, that the weight differences were caused by density or temperature or something. Right. So these random events, somehow they resulted in a measurement that matched exactly the prediction that the WGS 84 model predicted. So how can it be that random factors like temperature, pressure, magnetism, how can these random factors magically come together and make the weight exactly within a couple of hundredths, exactly like the globe model predicts? How can that happen?
Great. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to play a bit of a scenario for you, and then we're going to say how it literally plays like you. I predict that when I drive down the road, I'm going to see a white dove fly from the one tree to the other. 5 minutes later, I climb my car, I drive. Oh, I just saw a white dove fly from the one tree to the other when I climbed in the car. I claim I predicted it before it happened, so therefore I just did science, and therefore I was right. Let's put this into your perspective with you. I claim weight change about this much when I go there. I don't control for any variables. Oh, look, it's more or less in the ballpark what I claimed, so therefore science. Did that mean that what you claimed was the cause for the effect? I did that claim because I predicted when I drove my car that caused the dove to fly from one tree to the other? No, correlation is not causation. So in your scientific hypothesis, you are establishing the cause for the effect. And since you don't have a cause, you have multiple causes, and you're ignoring all the controls, you have no idea what actually caused the effect observed. You even
So he's stuck on the concept that you can only have one independent variable with a hypothesis. Even though you've addressed that, and he knows he doesn't understand it, so yet he's continuing with it anyway because he's got nothing else.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So the whole idea of the pigeon in the tree, I wonder if I addressed that in this. I can't remember, but the answer is simple. But anyway, let's carry on.
I think you did actually, but yeah, let's see.
yourself, measured multiple times in and out, and it gave different results. So therefore, your incompetence is showing you are reaching for straws to make it seem as if you have something, but you had absolutely nothing.
Keep calling someone else incompetent.
Well,
Hilarious.
that's a lot of word salad there. So the thing is, right, clearly you have not understood anything I've talked about. You haven't even tried to understand it.
Spot on.
I've explained everything in detail, and you're still not understanding measurement error. You're still not understanding prediction. So you haven't answered me. How can variations in buoyancy, temperature, and I've measured like 100 times, how can is it be that every single time these random factors that you say are random and no correlation exists, how come they correlate with the prediction?
How come did the dove fly from one tree to the other?
I didn't predict any dove flew anywhere. I
predicted that.
For the sake of fairness, he has asked a very specific question.
I just answered it.
Well, you kind of said
something every time he runs away.
Well, no, I'm doing this. I think you're agree, Flat. So I've been the same with both sides. I'm trying to just help both sides make sure the conversation moves forward. And I'm just paying attention as to when a question is asked on one side and not really answered on the other. It's clear you don't agree with what he's saying, but his specific question is, why do the correlations match the predictions? He's not saying that correlation is science or anything. He's just very specifically asking why he made these predictions, went there, and within the margin of errors, matched the predictions. Could you just give a brief answer to that and then maybe move on to another subject, if that's okay?
Well, thanks to not using science, nobody will know that. So it's just, again, based on correlation.
How did it correlate? 1,000 monkeys and 1,000 typewriters. Do you think they'll type the Encyclopedia Britannica sometime? That's what you're saying.
The point is, you didn't use science. You didn't have an actual independent variable.
No, the point is you haven't
manipulate your independent variable, and you ignored all the controls. So therefore, it's not repeatable. And now you have correlation-based errors, and now you're trying to tell me, well, then what caused it? That's not my burden to prove your incompetence shows different correlation. You didn't.
He really thinks he's got you here, doesn't he? Despite the fact that you've already proven he's wrong.
Yeah.
Have science. It's not my problem. It's yours.
Just a minute. I just got to reply to something here. So you still can't answer the question about why the correlation exists, even though there are random factors, and you deflect by saying, in your opinion, I did not do science, which is only your opinion. It's not real. So you still don't explain the science of it. You don't explain the correlation that happens to exist by some random events. We have magic, the temperature and the pressure. Magic gives the exact same prediction as the globe prediction. That's magic. Okay, you believe in?
Okay, what was the temperature at your home when you tested the scale the first time?
So magic again.
What was the temperature? You had to log it down. You're doing science. So what was the data temperature that you took when you were at home or doing the scale test?
I did that experiment way back about 3 years ago or something. I don't remember the exact numbers.
So what was the air pressure? What was the temperature?
Yeah, I did that experiment.
Okay,
Yeah,
already invalid. Okay.
I've got the data in the
Now,
video.
when you went to
What's the
Punta
point?
Arenas, what was the pressure and temperature again?
I don't need to take those measurements because they have no effect, no measurable effect.
Okay, then what was the temperature and pressure when you went to Antarctica?
I do have a pressure reading. I don't have a temperature reading, but I don't need to take those measurements because they have no measurable effect. Even without taking those measurements,
so.
can you explain to me? No. Let me finish. Even if I did not take those measurements, can you explain to me how the weight, even without taking the measurements, the weight was exactly within a couple of hundredths of a gram of exactly as predicted, even though I did not factor in temperature, pressure, anything. I did not take those factors. If what you said is true, then these readings would be all wrong. They would not be exact. They would be way out. They wouldn't even correlate. So what you said is not correct.
I'm going to put you back to where you said you did multiple readings in Antarctica and they were all different. Correct?
I think he was referring to using different weights rather than multiple readings. Just want to clarify. I've been making notes as we go along. Am I wrong there, Critical? Were you referring to different weights? Or the same
did.
weight?
So I did readings at the shack, the halfway point, right? And I already said that on my video. And then I did a reading. I don't remember doing more than one at the camp, a Union Glacier camp. But yeah, but there have been many times where I've done multiple readings at a location. So again, a few hundredths of a gram difference is within the expected error of the measurement. It's nothing to be concerned about. My point about this is that if temperature and pressure need to be measured and I did not measure them, then why were my readings within a few hundredths of a gram of my prediction? I didn't measure temperature or pressure. Surely that would have thrown it out, way out. It should have been like 1,000 grams that is measured, 1,000 grams maybe, or you could say 1,000.1. That if the temperature was having an effect. But I measured 1,003.8 right on the prediction, not just some little variation because of temperature or pressure. How can the temperature and pressure make that much a difference?
There's humidity at change, there's pressure at change, there's temperature at change, movement of the scale at change, magnetic field at change. Everything can play a little role. I mean, you saw my demonstration. I literally moved it 10 centimeters and I changed it by like a gram. So,
but the whole point is he's saying all those things could affect it. Hasn't described how, hasn't described how much, hasn't shown any evidence that it actually happened at the time.
And the monkeys on the typewriters have typed the Encyclopedia Britannica somehow.
He couldn't read it anyway. If he did, he wouldn't understand it.
He's saying he's got all these monkeys. One of them's typing in temperature, one of them's typing in pressure, and somehow his monkeys have come up with the number that exactly matches the globe prediction. And they do this every time. That's what he's saying.
Yes, yeah, and he won't answer your question, which is exactly to that point. You know, it's he doesn't get it that you got the right figure. You got to explain why, if everything you did was wrong, why you still got the right figure.
A monkey in the works in the chat. He wants to give it a go. Get on the typewriter. Well,
true. Yeah, that's the works he's on. Of course, the biggest monkey Fkatzoid has is Sovereign. What's his name? S-Sum, whatever it is.
Sovereign Soul, Unhinged Mind.
Yes, Unhinged Mind. That's the one. Yeah, and I think he'd shit on a typewriter and run away or something. You know, he wouldn't type anything. Okay, on with the stupid.
1/10 of a gram.
Yeah. Well, the point is
within the error of the scales. Within the error of the scales.
Okay, so anyway, the point is you are still just hand wave dismissing that you had no control of anything you claim. You didn't even take the data down for what you're claiming to be scientific. Therefore, it is not scientific from the...
You didn't hand wave it. You've already explained why none of anything he's raised makes any difference.
That's right. I did not hand wave it.
He just didn't listen or understand. Probably both.
Conception till the demonstration, because it's not an experiment, till going home and you're claiming it is science. If you had to take this, and I actually urge you to do this, please take this to a scientific, reputable education system and ask them, is this scientific? They're going to laugh at you because they're going to say, first of all, you didn't follow any science. You didn't control any variables. You just hand wave dismissing everything that shows you don't have data for anything, and you're just making correlation. So therefore, they're going to tell you it's pseudoscience.
You don't have data? What? That's the only reason you did it.
Fkatzoid has no data. I've got over 100 data points.
Does he know what data is?
No. Does he know?
I know. He
anything?
thinks he's a guy on Star Trek.
Yeah. Commander data. Yeah.
All right, on with the stupid.
I just have to close the door here. Hang on.
And to think when he did the other, wind was also a.
Wait, to
another-
be fair, don't
wind
say
thing.
when he's not here. You know, just make
Yeah,
sure
but
he's
there
there.
it is again.
Yeah.
But yeah, did you take wind into account as well?
People complaining.
Yeah. Was that a challenge there, Fkatzoid, to get some kind of educational authority to check his experiment?
Yeah, send it to an educational system and see what they will say about his not science.
Critical, would
I'd like the same thing to happen to Fkatzoid or anything he's to send his whole channel to some person who knows who they're talking about. Well, of course,
Yeah.
people who do know what they're talking about watch this stuff, like PhD Tony and Clive Wells and people like that, and they say Fkatzoid's a bullshitter.
you maybe consider having some kind of peer review done on what you've done to satisfy any questions? Maybe speak to a local college or something about what you've done?
That's okay. You know, I got proper scientists who are very impressed with my work.
There's these proper scientists. They wouldn't be like McToon, would they?
No.
Great. Then I'm happy.
I'm McToon. Just ask Santa Spaghetti.
So yeah, I think we've established this is beating a dead horse. He doesn't understand science, guys.
No, we haven't established that. We've actually established that you don't understand my experiment still. Even though I've tried to explain it, you're being very thick about everything, and you're still trying to deflect from the fact that a random variation like temperature and pressure can somehow be like 100 monkeys on 100 typewriters, and one of them will type a novel one day.
What was the humidity?
Why should I worry about that?
Another variable you didn't control for.
I told you already. I've done the experiment, measured humidity, measured pressure, measured temperature. There is no correlation. The effects are smaller than the measurement error. I've done the science. Why are you ignoring the science, Fkatzoid?
Okay, what happens when you take a weight up a mountain, or a scale up a mountain?
It weighs different.
Does the density of the air change the weight as well?
Yes, but there's no correlation.
So was the density of the air different in your locations?
Which location?
You had multiple locations. All the densities of the air were different.
Of course the densities are different. I already told you, explained to you. I don't know why it's so difficult for you to understand this. This has very little effect. It's not measurable. The density changing is not a measurable effect. And it's a random effect. A random effect cannot produce a correlation. That's science for you, Fkatzoid. Do you know about science? Oh, no, you don't.
So you're saying density of air doesn't change measurable weight of a scale?
Do you mean density or pressure? Just to clarify, people are asking, do you mean density or pressure there?
The density of air is based on pressure, yes.
So the bug hitting the windscreen argument, I got it.
No, that's again a false equivalence. I'm asking you specifically.
No, it's not.
If you stick a scale in a vacuum chamber and you evacuate air, does the weight change?
How much does it change?
Quite a bit.
How much? Where's the experiment? Where are the measurements?
Okay, I'm going to quickly get something. Give me 2 minutes.
Whilst he's doing that, I will quickly do some housekeeping. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you smash the like button, share the screen, subscribe if you're not already, or I send Daniel Pratt to your house. Link to Critical Think's GoFundMe fundraising for his Antarctica trip is in the description. If my mods could please spam it right now in the chat. Also,
and my mods too, Monkey in the Works has been doing a brilliant job. It's also pinned at the top of the chat. I wonder how much further I can. I don't think I'll be able to tell when you guys get in. So maybe I think it's there. Maybe let's try that.
I think the best part must be just around the corner. There's
yeah, the vacuum chamber thing. That I forget what his name. Anyway, we'll see it.
Pop up Google Chrome, and I'll show that to you guys as well. 1 minute 31.
Action lab, that's it.
Yeah.
So he's starting off at 19.81 grams. As soon as I turn on the vacuum, though, he starts to gain weight.
With his buoyancy reduced.
That's what we need to see.
He's already gained around 0.02 grams.
So the pressure reduced by about 86%, and the weight went up by 0.12 of a gram.
So something's
did
pulling him
pressure
down.
make a difference with the weight?
I've never denied that. You're not.
No.
Does it?
slight buoyancy difference, very slight.
Sorry, CT.
It's a slight buoyancy difference. You can calculate it. It's smaller than 0.01 of a gram with the buoyancy variations that we achieve in normal atmosphere. He's got a vacuum chamber which changes it by 80-something%, right? We don't get those changes of 80% just walking around the planet. So
Going up a mountain, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, it's what I said earlier. It might make a difference, but you've got to identify how much of that is, and then compare it to your margin of error, as you said you did. You did all those tests.
I did.
And of course, the manufacturer says it's within its operational tolerances. So
denied that. And how did you see that? That was an 80%, like 80% change in pressure. You'll never get that in the real world. And then there was whatever it was, a small change in grams. That's still not 3 grams, right? That's 0.1. So how you still haven't explained a 3 gram difference, 3.8 gram difference?
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you again. This was one variable. That showed the independent variable change was the pressure, okay, the air. That was one variable. Now, what happens if you had to change the temperature as well, the humidity as well, you had some magnetic flux, and you had to move the scale? Would it give a different reading?
So yes, okay, a little bit, right? But it would never correlate. It would never line up. It would never match the prediction, because all of these things you say affect the weight. They would make the weight wrong. I would never be able to correlate the measurements if what you say is correct, right? Because the weights would be all over the place, but they're not. Those effects are less than the error of measurement.
Okay, then I've got another one for you. Are you going to go again to Antarctica to make the repeatable thing and see if it gives the same results?
Oh, maybe I will one day. But why do I need to do that? Because I go many places the same over and over again and repeated this experiment many times. Why do I need specifically to go to Antarctica?
Because that's called repeatable experimentation.
But I've repeated this in many locations. Why do I need to particularly go to Antarctica?
So different locations give different results, correct?
I've been to different locations. Why do I need to specifically go to Antarctica?
No, different locations give different results.
Yeah,
he's not listening. He's not listening at all. You've said,
so I have to go to
many...
Antarctica again.
Yes, it's not science unless you go to Antarctica again. Doesn't have a clue.
Done that. Why do I specifically need to go to
I'm
Antarctica?
just asking. It's a yes or no question.
No, so why? Why do I need to specifically go to Antarctica?
Don't ask me a question. Just answer.
You should answer the question.
Does different locations give different results?
Why do I need to specifically go to Antarctica?
I'm asking you a specific question, not go answer another question for me.
You'd answer
what
that question.
Does happen when you change location? Does it give different results?
I've answered this 1,000 times, and I've told you already. I've gone to many locations, repeated the results. Why specifically do I have to go to Antarctica?
Just for the sake of fairness, Critical, would you mind just directly responding to his question, just so we can move the conversation on? He's asked, does going to different locations give different results? Would you just mind giving a yes or no answer to that?
Yes.
Okay.
Great. So did you go to those same locations multiple times and get the same readings?
Yes.
Right.
You just said you got different readings in Antarctica. So how that doesn't make sense.
You said the same location get the same reading. So yes, within the measurement error, yes.
Without taking any variables into consideration.
I did take variables into consideration.
So you did take temperature into consideration. How did you account for it?
Temperature is not a significant variable in my experiment.
Can temperature change, even if it's minuscule, it can change their experiment results?
Yes.
Okay, and humidity does the same. Moving the scale does the same. If it's not calibrated, it does the same. Magnetic field does the same. How many more variables do I have to account for that is not accounted for in your not experiment?
So they're all accounted for. I've already told you many times. I'm going to repeat again. They are all accounted for because they are insignificant. So if they were significant, I would not get the result. I would not get the correlation. I would know that there is something wrong with my experiment because the results do not match exactly within measurement error. I would know that I've missed out on a variable if it does not match. I've got the correlation. How do you explain that random things like temperature, pressure, etc., can produce an exact result? How does that happen? Magic again. You like magic, don't you?
I'm gonna teach you some more things. You see, I've got one spoon here. Now imagine the spoon.
So hilarious when they say they're going to teach us. Idiots teaching people who know what they're talking about. Hilarious.
Yeah.
And what's he going to do with his spoon? I can't remember. I guess we'll see in a minute.
Changes the scale on the weight on the scale by 0.5%. Now I place another spoon. I've got 2 spoons on there, and it changes it a bit more. And eventually, now I've got 6 spoons on there.
Oh, he's not going to.
Now it has maybe a 0.25% difference. Do you understand? Each spoon represents a different variable you didn't control for. Do you understand those variables you didn't control?
He's doing it. I can't believe it. So if you've got 6 or 7 variables that are all within the margin of error, he's saying they all add up, but some will cancel out the others as well.
Yes. Yeah.
It's just so simplistic to think of it like that. How can he claim knowledge of science and even say these words?
Crazy. Let's carry on.
It all together cause your discrepancy that gives what you claim to be the cause. So in other words, you can't make a deduction that what you're claiming is the cause for the effect observed. It could just be the conglomeration of all the little bitty spoons placed.
I'm going to answer that. If what you're saying is true, then my measurements would not correlate with the prediction, because all those little things, they would make the measurement invalid, they would make it wrong, and it would not measure exactly the prediction. But somehow all the little things that you want to make up and everything, they all magically make the weight go to the exact point of the prediction. Oh my God, you really do believe in magic.
You are awesome, CT, in this debate. This is your first debate, and you're so entertaining, but so right on the point too. You know, it's fantastic. You should do more.
Yeah, I should.
I think if I was debating Fkatzoid, I'd just be so annoyed I just couldn't be bothered anymore after about 5 minutes. So, yeah, but yet you kept going and you turned it into something hilarious. So, it's awesome.
Heard of flastogen before?
What?
Flastogen.
No, I don't know about that.
It used to be the presumed cause for fire. Do you know why they presumed it to be the cause?
What are you talking about?
For the exact same thing you're doing here. It was correlation. So, do you understand when something is correlated, it doesn't make it causative? So your claim that it is the Earth rotating, making the weight change, is not showing true, because you are giving a correlative claim, not a causative claim. Do you understand that?
So you've got it backwards. I've specified the causation. I'm just making a measurement to verify it.
No, you haven't shown any independent variable being manipulated to say that's the cause.
Yes, I have. I've manipulated latitude and height.
So latitude and height caused weight change.
Why are you so stupid?
You just told me that.
Brilliant question. And he's too stupid to answer it. Awesome stuff. And this is your first debate. This is just brilliant stuff.
Then the way to manipulate was latitude and height. That's the cause in a scientific experiment.
No, that's just your words. That's not the scientific method. You're just making that shit up.
So latitude and height didn't cause weight change.
No, it's the centrifugal forces. What the independent variable for the centrifugal force is the latitude and height. That's not so difficult. Why are you making it so difficult?
So centrifugal.
Trying to play a semantic game instead of looking at the science.
Did you manipulate centrifugal force, or did you manipulate your location?
I manipulated the centrifugal force by changing location.
Okay, let's take a merry-go-round, and it's spinning at, let's say, 500 RPM. Okay? Does the centrifugal force change when you move location on that spinning turntable?
If you move around the rim, no, but if you move towards the center, yes.
So you have different tangential velocities?
Yes.
Great. Are you able to prove that that merry-go-round is spinning?
I think I can look at the merry-go-round and see that it's spinning. I don't know what else you want.
Okay, let's say you're an ant. Very small, and it's a huge spinning merry-go-round. I'm playing Globo here. And you're going from the center of that spinning merry-go-round and you're moving outwards towards the edge. Are you going to feel a difference in centrifugal force?
Yes, and you can measure it. And that's how you can know you're spinning.
Okay, how would you measure it?
With a measuring device.
How would you measure it?
So if you get your scales, and let's just say if you get your scales and any device that measures force in a horizontal direction, you could use it even with the accelerometer on your phone. You could hold your phone up and you would see what the G-forces are in the horizontal direction. And then as you move towards the outside of the merry-go-round, it will change and it will match exactly the centrifugal force formula. That's how you would measure it.
Oh, so you calculate it, you don't measure it?
Find my other mitts somewhere?
Yeah, yes, other mitts. Yes, that's what we need. This is what flirts always do. They pick on definitions of things. Oh, it's a calculation, not a measurement. All measurements are pretty much calculations because you can't measure the whole thing. And it's secondary measurements at that. And a ruler is a secondary measurement device. Someone had to measure the markings on the ruler before you put them on the ruler, and then you use the ruler to measure. So it's a secondary measure.
So, yeah, about that was very interesting. I have to watch that again sometime because Fkatzoid's thinking he's got a gotcha question. And
that's every time you ask a question.
And then I give him the answer, and he's completely unfazed. But I don't understand it.
But it is hilarious. So that's why we're watching.
Sorry, I don't have them.
Do you want this?
I'm going to ask you again. So did you use calculation based on correlation or did you make actual measurement?
Can you ask that again? What?
Did you use calculation based on correlation, or did you use actual measurement?
So I showed you the formula for what the gravity should be. I calculate what it should weigh, and then measure, and it weighs the same. It doesn't weigh anything else. It weighs the same.
So
And then you correlate the result, and then you find that your prediction is matched by the measurement, and therefore the prediction is valid and relevant.
So correlative. Okay, so my point what I'm making is you claimed I can use the phone to measure the G forces, and because I'm an ant now, moving outwards to the rim, I am able to see a difference in this G forces. So therefore, my calculations show that there is a centrifugal spinning force, correct?
No.
No, that's a measurement, isn't it? He was going on about the difference between correlation and measurement.
I don't know.
Just
Maybe I understood on the day. Maybe I said something profound here. We'll wait and see.
yeah, I'm sure you did.
So what you've done is you've hypothesized that there's a centrifugal force, and then you tested it by first calculating what you should read on the G meter, and then going out and measuring it. And when there's a pretty close to 100% correlation, you can state, well, there's no other reason, there's no competing hypothesis. The best hypothesis I have is that I am rotating.
Great, so that's causation.
Okay, I think I see what Fkatzoid's where he's going wrong. You're saying correlation between your prediction and the measurement. He's thinking correlation and causation. But
He's trying to twist, right? He's trying to twist the words. He's trying to use a semantic argument because there's this well-known thing in science, right? In that they use it in epidemiological studies where they don't know the cause. Correlation is only used where they don't know the cause. And they say people, if they eat 3 eggs a day, what effect does that have? So they ask a bunch of people, how many eggs a day do you eat? And they say 0 or 3 or whatever. And then they put all the data together and they run a correlation over it, and they say, people who eat 0 eggs a day have this much cholesterol. People who eat 3 eggs a day have that much cholesterol. Now, there's no causal relationship. They're just thinking they'll run the correlation. And in that case, the correlation only points to there maybe being a causal relationship. So in the absence of the causal effect, they're trying to infer causality. Now, that's what Fkatzoid must know something about. So he's trying to turn that around and applying it incorrectly, because the correlation that I do is to test the results. It's not to find a causation. We already know the causation. So the correlation is the mathematical process of testing how well do our measurements fit the predictions. You don't begin with the correlation. So he's trying to make it sound like we're doing a fake experiment where we're trying to derive causation. He's got it all mixed up. He's got it all backwards, as usual, but he has an agenda. He has a barrow to push, so he has to try and turn it around using misrepresentation and lies. At any rate,
he's not interested in truth. He's looking for something that's that he can get you up, looking for gotchas instead of looking for truth. And he claims to be a truth seeker. Sydney Raptor says the air pressure buoyancy difference in the weight of 1 gram between sea level and 1,000 meters is approximately 0.0013%. 3/5 of bugger all. So if that was one of Fkatzoid's spoons and you added up 6 of them, is it still going to be significant? No. So Sydney Raptor's done what Fkatzoid should have done to refute you. If you come up with a figure bigger than that, then maybe he might have had a point, but he didn't.
Yes.
Anyway, let's see how he responds to you.
I mean, that's correlation, not causation. So how do you know it was based on the spinning merry-go-round instead of maybe the phone had a faulty software?
Because if the phone had faulty software, it would not correlate, right?
No. The software was faulty because it gave different readings in different locations. And because you correlated those different locations to that reading, your correlation-based deduction was Earth moving.
So the correlation that you're talking about does not exist. There is no known mechanism by which faulty software can give the exact same reading as a correlation with centrifugal force. You're not understanding the science. You're not understanding the prediction science. You're trying to make out like some random effect can magically give the same result as a prediction. It's silly.
Okay, what I was doing was trying to make it as dumbed down as I can for you to understand that.
Idiots trying to dumb things down. You're so dumb they probably make it smart.
He's still saying that 100 monkeys on 100 typewriters are going to write a novel. He's still saying that.
With the software for the phone, yeah.
Yeah, the software's broken. Therefore, it'll come up with the exact same result as if it was not broken.
Just doesn't have a clue. But that's why he's hilarious.
Correlation does not make causation. Because you correlate different weights at different latitudes does not mean it is due to Earth's rotation. That is just your simply deduction based on correlation.
But you've addressed the correlation in the hypothesis by hypothesizing the Earth rotates, so therefore we should see an effect of the centrifugal force at different latitudes being different. That's all built into that. And then you go and see, well, what does the data from reality say, you know?
Yes. So you see he's using that catchphrase, correlation does not imply causation. So that's the catchphrase he's trying to semantically inject. But in this case, that's not the experiment. We already have our causation. We're not trying to imply it. And the correlation is used as a measurement of curve fit, of accuracy. But anyway.
Yeah, he's the word correlation is being used in two senses. You're using it one and he's using it another because it suits him.
Yeah.
Might as well just say space pixies cause this. If I go and say, it's the same as me saying, okay, you know what, guys? My weight changes in the summer and it changes in the winter. Why does it do this? I'm saying it's because of space pixies. Guess what? I measured myself through the summer and I measured myself through the winter. So therefore, the cause was space pixies. Is that a logical deduction or not?
What you've just said is a complete load of rubbish, and it's
that's what your load's based on. That is your whole experiment.
It's a false equivalence, like because you like to use that false equivalence. And so, what your
how is it a false equivalence? Go ahead. Explain how it's a false equivalence. How is it a false equivalence? No. How is it a false equivalence? Go ahead.
Okay, because you're going back to the argument again. If I measure something random, right, then something changes random. How is that a correlation? It isn't. The answer is it doesn't correlate. That's why, that's why you know it's random, because it doesn't correlate. The same that temperature and pressure and all of those things, they don't correlate with the location, right? They don't correlate. The reason why you get the correlation is because the causation exists. We're testing the causation, right? We know the causation. We're testing it, right? There is no competing hypothesis. There is no other reason for the weight to change like that, right? If you can bring up another hypothesis, I can test it. But right now I have one hypothesis and it works, 100% correlation. So tell me what the other hypothesis is.
I might just pause there. We've only got 7 minutes left, CT. You said the good bit. What was that in particular? Have we seen it or is it to come?
Oh no, it's played. It was when I asked him a special question about why is he so stupid. That was freaking hilarious.
It was, yes. He said he didn't answer. He was too stupid to be able to answer.
Yeah. So, yes, we've gone past it. So, yeah, you can stop it, whatever you like to do. Getting close to time.
Yep. Well, we'll have another look at at where the GoFundMe's at closer to the end. But we can continue on for a bit. I just want to point out, can you see how good you are at debating? And we're an hour and 19 minutes in. So you're still going strong. So well done.
No, thank you.
I don't need to replace your not hypothesis, but I'm gonna maybe make this another way for you, because it seems like I'm talking to a delinquent.
Come on, let's keep it friendly.
When you go and you make, I'm making it nice words, guys. When you go and you make correlative data, okay, and you use correlative data to make a graph. Now you've got your data, great. I always see this happening in these attitudes. You didn't manipulate the cause for that. You correlatively took all the data and said, look, therefore the cause is this. You didn't specifically manipulate the cause to say that is the cause. That's what I tried to explain. Your whole globe, your non-experiment that you just claimed, is based on correlation, not causation. So it is invalid based on incompetence and not being scientific.
No, none of that is true. And I'll say again, I have to repeat myself many times here because you still don't get it. But the correlation comes after, right? First, you have the hypothesis, right? Hypothesis is gravity is result of this formula. And then you can go out and test the hypothesis, and the result is correlation. The correlation doesn't come first, right? It's the experiment comes first. The correlation is part of the measure of how significant your cause and your effect. So how significant, how closely does the model match the real measurements? That's what the correlation is for. It's not to predict the cause. The cause is already known. There is no other hypothesis. You don't have a hypothesis for why the weight should match exactly what the globe model predicts. You don't have a hypothesis. You don't have a reason. You claim that is random effects, temperature, pressure can magically produce the same result as prediction. So what have you got? What have you got other than, what do you got?
Is it always colder in high elevations?
Yeah, so what do you got?
Okay, so it's always cold in high elevations. So therefore, gravity is different at high elevations, correct?
That's not an inference that's correct.
So correlation then. As I go higher, it's colder, therefore gravity. So when you go to Antarctica, is Antarctica always colder than Australia?
Yeah, so what's the point?
Okay, so therefore when I go there, it's always colder, so therefore weight change. You understand that's correlation. Now,
so what? Yeah, but
colder temperatures always give a reading in a certain direction compared to hotter temperatures?
No.
No. Do you know what happens to gas when it gets heated up?
Yes, it expands. So
it's faster, yeah. So when it cools down, what happens?
It gets more dense. So what's the point?
So it slows down. So what happens with buoyancy in colder weather?
So buoyancy would get the air would get more dense. Buoyancy would be stronger.
So it would give a weight difference, correct? In the same.
Yeah, the same as the bug hitting the windscreen. Exactly the same.
Okay, so the same vector difference. Now, do you ever see Antarctica hotter than Australia?
If I take my scale inside a tent, and inside the tent it's 25 degrees, is it hotter in Antarctica than, say, Minnesota, where it might be minus 10 degrees outside?
Right,
Do you know the answer to that?
So the tent...
Tell me, what's the answer to that? Is it hotter in Antarctica if I'm inside a tent at 20 degrees?
Now, we're making points.
When
we got
what did you say there? Can you repeat that?
So when we got the tent, because you're trying to obfuscate from the point I'm making. So when you got the tent and you got the heater inside there, is the air now moving faster again?
The molecules are moving faster. I don't know what you mean by air moving faster.
Right. And when they're heating it up, is there a current inside their tent?
There may be. I don't know. Why? Why is that important?
So air moving over the scale.
Why is that important? Why is that important?
So when you were in Australia, did you have an aircon on or a fan or?
As we showed in the last stream, you have a little box on top of your scale, so it's not affected by any air current.
Exactly.
So if he'd looked into your experiment at all, he'd know that.
He'd know that, yes.
Is there anything he doesn't know? Sorry, is there anything he does know? Is there anything he does know?
We got 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Yeah, we might leave that there, and let's have a look and talk about the fundraiser. Let's do a refresh if my internet will work. Well, I guess I'm talking to you, so it is. 39451. We didn't quite get to the 40,000, so DPD Bunks underwear is safe for the moment. Let's see who's been donating recently. So Monkey in the Works 10 minutes ago gave $49. Thank you very much for that. Copium Emporium, I think he's gone to bed now, but thank you for that. $61. Anonymous, who is this anonymous person? They donate a lot, but thank you very much for donating $89. And maybe Keith is a horrifying sexist donated during this stream of $15. Thank you for that. And of course, Monkey in the Works has already donated $49 last time. So I guess that makes it around 100 in total. So awesome. Thank you to all those people.
Awesome, thank you.
Debunk says his poop is safe. I'm not sure you want your poop to be safe, but
he's probably just at the point of having skid marks on the underwear right now.
Yes, he's touching cloth, no doubt. When we're almost about to go to his stream too, I think. So we've checked that. I guess that's pretty much it. So let me DB Debunks, can you spam the chat with your link so that just in case people don't, somehow the redirect doesn't work? I have set it up, so it should work if you stay in the chat, and when I end my stream, you should be taken to his. We're cutting it a bit fine, aren't we? So I better go now. Thank you for being my guest yet again, Critical Think, and I'm so glad we've been able to do so much for you.
No worries. Thanks very much, Hugh. Well done. And thanks, everybody, for your donations. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. Well done, you, for going to Antarctica and bring back all this data for us so we can shove it down our first throats. Thank you so much. And I'll see you hopefully sometime soon in another live stream and maybe even a video. And the corgi will warm up, I guess.
There's nothing left to do but cue the corgi.
You're despicable.
Piss off, you fat fuck.